Hi, everybody. I'm Gwyneth Russell, and this is Marie Doherty, who is going to be interviewing me today about my recent retreat. And this is for my teacher's training end of term um, requirement. So, yeah, over to you, Marie.
Okay, Gwyneth, what inspired you to organise the retreat in the first place?
Well, good question. I went up to Durham last November to a workshop up there, and I was staying in a lovely house with some of the other participants of the workshop who are part of online breathing space, and we had so much fun after the workshop. The workshop was superb. It was absolutely lovely. But when we got back, we had food together and we stayed up chatting for long periods of time. And we even did a breath work um, one of the evenings as well, which was fabulous. And we just were sitting there and it was so magical just being together in this lovely environment. And I was just thinking, wouldn't it be great if we hired a nice big house and we could have a retreat all in one place rather than having to get into cars and go off to a venue and then go back and so on, and everybody staying in different places. So yeah, I thought, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd absolutely love to get all these women together and have a small sort of intimate retreat where we could truly relax and to um, feel safe to unwind and share our ideas and throughout the weekend. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Perfect.
Uh,
And you called your retreat the Pink Moon Retreat. Where did the name come from?
ah, well, I was gifted a beautiful diary, which I actually had. Oh, here we go. I was gifted this lovely diary um, by a friend of mine who I was doing some one-to-one breath works from. And she's a sort of distant family member. And I didn't want to accept payment or anything from her. So she bought me this lovely, expensive book. Oh, bless her. Um, and I was looking through the book, and in April, which was my actual birthday, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have an event on my birthday? But I didn't actually tell anybody about that. So it was a little bit of self-indulgence here. It was a gift to myself. And in April, over this time, is the pink moon phase um, phase of the year. It's called the pink moon. And in this little book, it it gave you a little bit of information about the cycle and the forces that were at play. So I'd actually read through a lot of the months and see what was coming up. And shall I read you a little bit about it?
Do.
Would you like that?
Yeah.
Um, and this just really stood out to me. The pink moon illuminates the first blooms of spring, calling us outside to connect with Mother Earth, as well as those important to us. Best use of this lunaciation is spent in nature one way or the other. And where I live in North Wales is a very beautiful place. I'm very privileged to live here. The house that I chose was right by the beach, and it's a UNESCO site in itself with a castle in the middle as well. But the beach itself is a place of exceptional beauty, and there's lots of projects that go on there with nature. So I thought, that would be a really nice, easy thing to do. And then it says here, A new moon in Aries prompts you to chase after your goals with its fiery energy, exposing your path for this cycle. It's time to do something you consider bold. And I thought, oh, this is telling me something. So I thought, do you know what? This feeling of wanting to run a retreat was so strong. I then went straight on the internet and I was having a look at the different houses that were available in my area. And this particular huge dormer bungalow came up. And I thought, that's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. It wasn't cheap, but it had 4 rooms. So 2 people could share in each room. It had a hot tub. It had a huge kitchen where everybody could sit around together. And it had a lovely large living room that we could just move the furniture around a little bit and create a nice space that we could work in. And the next thing it says in this book is, a Scorpio full moon illuminates your desire to be brave. I can be quite brave sometimes, but not as much as I used to. And I thought, do you know what? I want to do this. I truly want to do it. And I thought, right, that's it. I'm doing it. And I booked that place there and then. I took money out of my savings and I thought, if this goes completely wrong, I don't care. This is my gift to myself. And if nobody wants to come, I'll just go and stay there with my partner for the fun of it and invite maybe a couple of family members. But that didn't happen. So then it says, this highly motivated sign may draw out an intensity in you that is deeply emotional. With Scorpion energy gifting you such valuable insight, how can you best utilize this? Well, that was it. There's pages here that I've started to write ideas of what I wanted for the retreat and who I'd show my advertisement to and so on.
I remember the day you messaged to say you had it booked. I was like, what? Yeah. So you have the name, you have the
Yes.
venue, and you have the desire. So what happened next? How did you go about creating the retreat you wanted?
Well, I had the theme then in my head, didn't I? I had the pink moon and I thought, ooh, yes. Well, what it had in this book just capsulated everything that I wanted, really. I wanted the group of people that were coming to feel all of that as well. I wanted them to come to the retreat. I wanted us to breathe together, do art together, laugh together, get out in nature together, and allow everything to mix up together and just see what ideas and thoughts that collectively came out. And my dream was that everybody would go from that retreat with their own ideas and pictures of what they wanted to do next. And I think a fair bit of that is happening for a few of the people, which I'm delighted about. I'm absolutely delighted. I wanted to be like a bridge, really, that create a space that everybody could figure out what they wanted to do themselves. And that we then, everybody that was at that retreat could celebrate each other's ideas and, yeah, go out there into the world, really.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely. And yeah, it absolutely did work. So tell me the activities that you organized for the people at the retreat.
Sure. Yeah, that was I'll show you that was the advert, look. That was the little advert that I had there. Yes, this was the list of the things to come. And this is my itinerary. I'll just move that here. Oh, I have a long spiel of the intention there, look, but yeah. So I've been to many retreats over the last 10 years. I was counting them the other day, and I think it's about 15 more. And I've just had so much nourishment from going to retreats. And there were things that I loved from every retreat that I went to. And there were things that didn't quite resonate with me as much as it might have done for other people. So again, I went with my heart. I just went with what I felt I'd like in a retreat, hoping that everybody else would enjoy it, really. So first of all, I made a list of things that I wanted to do. So I thought, well, definitely need breath work. That's the main thing. And I didn't feel I wanted to do absolutely everything. I didn't want to facilitate everything in the retreat. I wanted it to be a space that other people could collaborate with me and to, especially yourself, Marie, and you did a breathe for me, which was I loved. I did a breathe on the Friday night, and you did the big breathe on the Saturday, the conscious connected breath work, which was superb. I absolutely loved it, which were the bluebells, which was fabulous. I did a coherence breath on the Friday night just to relax people into the weekend. Yeah, so I picked everybody up from Bangor Station, didn't I, with my partner Hugh. Before I decided to do the whole of the retreat, I talked through a few things with Hugh and whether he'd be willing to help me. I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise, because where I live in North Wales, it's not easy. There's not many cafes and things for people to go out and make food. So food was important, to have the right food for everybody as well, which I'll go into in a little while. So on the Friday evening, once everybody arrived, we had an opening ceremony. And I'm in a women's circle in the morning, so we have an opening ceremony every morning. But I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit. So I used what we did in the mornings as a little bit of a template, as an idea for myself, what I wanted. So opening up with a candle and so on. And then clearing, and then grounding, and then whatever else I wanted to bring in. But I wanted to bring in all the different directions, which I did. And I also incorporated a little bit of my language into it as well towards the end, just to bring in my own style and my own authenticity into that, because I think that was important. I'd also gone round the house just to clear the whole house before everybody went into their rooms, or before the ceremony anyway, so that the energy felt right in the house. So yeah, so on that Friday evening we had this opening ceremony in the living room. We had a little altar in the corner which had some special things that I'd bought up, and everybody else had bought their own special things to add to the altar. And of course, everybody took their own things home afterwards as well. I had decorated the room a little bit with a few fairy lights and so on. I'd invested in a few things to create a nice environment. So I'd bought some new yoga mats for us to lie on. Not that we did any yoga, but just that we could lie on. And a lot of them were pink. So I did have a theme. It was nice to go with this pink. And I'd also bought some little pink blankets as well, which were comforting for people. And of course, I'd put some flowers to put on the mantelpiece and so on. So that room felt nice and sacred almost. That was my intention. And I hope that it felt like that for people.
Yeah, very much did. Very much did.
Thank you. Yeah, so we started off like that with this opening circle, and then we also made a little Menko that I'd given everybody a little Menko, I think, and so that they could write their intention on. So more about that later as well. Yeah, then we had supper together, which was nice after everybody had settled into their room and things, obviously. I'd gone through the housekeeping things of, God forbid, if there was a fire or anything, there were plenty of ways of getting out. And also I'd given an opportunity for people to tell me personally. I'd checked up on a lot of things before even people came, diet wise or everything. If they had any needs that were very particular to them, that they could tell me privately, or if they wanted to share, that they could, and there was an opportunity for that. Yeah, and we wrote our intentions, we had supper, and then we had harmony breath work, coherence breath, which was lovely. And then we sort of closed the evening for 9 o'clock, but we ended up staying late, most of us, talking and sharing, which was lovely, which was nice. So that was the Friday. I haven't quite answered your question properly, but
no, you're absolutely doing perfectly well. Yeah, it was a lovely evening. It was a really nice way to start it. It was a really nice way to start it, and brought everybody together. So then Saturday morning, talk us through the whole retreat.
Yeah, so the plan was to have breakfast between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m.
I'm going to stop you there. Tell us about the food, because the food was very special. The food was, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, well, my partner's name is Hugh, and he's lovely, and he supports me in whatever I do, and as I do him as well. And I'd already put my advertisement out, and I then had contacted everybody to see whether they had any dietary needs and so on. We already were going to make the food either vegetarian or vegan. But also we had somebody who was gluten-free as well. It was sort of like, oh, okay, this is going to be a little bit more challenging. But yes, we had long discussions about the food. We started collating some recipes, which we were trying over the months before. Some were great, some not as great, but Hugh absolutely loves cooking. And we're not vegan, but his stepmom used to have a vegan restaurant, and she has taught us an awful lot about being vegan and eating well. And we don't eat much meat, but we do occasionally. And yeah, so we collated all these recipes. Hugh did most of it, but we discussed all of them. And then he just went for it. Bless him, he took a day off on the Friday. And we'd prepared some stuff a few days before. I did most of the baking things, and he did all of the breakfast, lunch and supper. He did all of that, and it was fantastic. Funny enough, we were discussing it last night, and we're creating a little recipe book. It's almost done. There's 3 more recipes to go into it, and yeah, that's all on my computer, almost ready to be printed off. So he's promised to send me those last 3 recipes.
Oh yeah, because
So
I want that recipe book. I really want
yeah,
that recipe book.
yep,
And also just on that, you kind of glossed over the fact that you came and collected us from the train station, which was a great thing to do. It was a really welcoming thing to do as well. Okay, so sorry, I cut across you when you were telling us about Saturday. Tell us about Saturday.
yeah. Yeah. So on the Saturday, we had breakfast, and yeah, Hugh had made this lovely breakfast. We'd had scrambled eggs made out of tofu and all kinds of things. It was fantastic, actually. It was really, really lovely. Um, and but also quite simple. It wasn't hugely complicated, and it wasn't hugely expensive. Vegan food is not that expensive. So that was really nice. And about 10 a.m. we gathered in circle, and we just shared about, well, and over breakfast really, what kind of night we'd had, and whether anybody had any particular shares or anything that they were concerned about and everything. So that was good. And then we also had a little bit of an opening each morning. So that was a little bit of a ceremony by lighting a candle and so on. So that was good. And then we had our first, well, our main conscious connected breath work, which Marie, you did, which was absolutely amazing. What I remember from that, you had bought the essence with you, and we all had the essence in our water. So we'd sipped that as you were doing the frame and everything, which was wonderful. And I was going to be your angel, but because there were so few of us and you felt that you didn't need one, that I was able to breathe as well, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, I
And
loved
I
it.
mean, I really appreciated the chance to do it. Like, yeah, really enjoyed it as well. So
There's something particularly magical about breathing in real life with other people. I know we do it all the time online, but to actually be in the same room where your breath, everybody's breath becomes almost harmonic, even though that they might have more movement in releasing in different ways, but it's so powerful all in the same room, isn't it?
It is absolutely
amazing.
It was amazing, really amazing, really amazing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I love that. So I plan to, I like having a big live breath work in the morning, because I have been to events where it's been at different times. I think you need that time to integrate, because it's even more powerful when you do it in live, and you can feel spaced out afterwards, and there's bigger stuff shifting somehow when you breathe with other people. And so I did it. I planned to have it set in the morning, so then that we could go straight in after the shares, that we could go straight into lunch, which, even though that you'd grounded everybody wonderfully, there's still even more grounding to do, isn't there? And so the food was beautiful. Who had the key to come into the house? He wasn't going to come into the living room. We had, I discussed the boundaries of, being discreet and everything. And he's so good at being discreet. He's very, very good. And he's very quiet anyway. And he just slipped into the house. He'd set all the food out on the table. And then we were able to go out from the breathe straight into the kitchen. And there we are. We had a banquet, which was lovely, which was really, really nice. Yeah, I'm very grateful for you working with me all that weekend. And do you know what? He loved it. He loved
So
it.
good at it. He's so good at it, as you are, but he's so good at it.
Oh, yeah, he's a special soul, definitely.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Yeah,
he may have been discreet. He was very much part of the weekend, even
yeah,
though we didn't see a huge amount of him and he kind of came in
yeah,
quietly and left quietly, but he was a big part of the weekend.
yeah. Well, one of the big decisions as well, I'm just digressing a little bit. You mentioned earlier about that we picked you up, Hugh and I, from the station. Was, even though this is a beautiful place, it's very difficult to get to. There is a train line station that gets to my town, but it takes almost 3 hours just from Shrewsbury to get here. Whereas Bangor is a mainline station that goes straight to Euston from London, and wherever else in Britain, everything, pretty much can go to Bangor as well easily. So it just made sense with you coming over from Ireland and most of the people coming from up north just to travel to Bangor. It would have been very difficult for them to go to Shrewsbury and then along the Cambrian. It would have taken them a day to get here. So everybody was in Bangor Station for 12 o'clock. Everybody arrived at the same time. We had 2 cars. We jumped in the car and off we came through Snowdonia. And I thought everybody would be starving by then. So we stopped at a viewpoint, and then a little bit further down the road there, we stopped and had a little picnic on the way as well, which I think was important. It would have been
Yeah,
too
that
far.
was equally very special, that whole journey there, like, and seeing Wales, and yeah, it just set the scene for what was an amazing weekend.
Oh, yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah. And yeah, I've been to a couple of retreats in Snowdonia, a place called Caimabon, which is particularly magical. That's the kind of place for a summer retreat, really, because it's almost like camping in these hobbit huts. So I do recommend people have a look at that, because it's not too expensive to rent it either. But you need to be a little bit more rough and ready to stay there and have showers outside and things. Yeah, so after our lunch, we had a little bit of a quiet time. Um, no, we were a very short time, I think. And then we went into vision boarding, and in the last 6 months or more, I came across something on Instagram, I think it was, about making these Menkos. And I just thought, oh my goodness, I just love this. I absolutely love the Menko. The way it's a Japanese envelope that people use either to put money in, or actually Menko also is a little piece of paper that's folded to about this size, different colors. And people use them as a game as well in Japan. So that's another way that a Menko is used. So anyway, I learned how to make this Menko and made little ones. They're a little bit tricky. I once tried to teach it in the leadership course. I thought it would take me 5 minutes. I'd underestimated the amount of time it would take.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took about 20 minutes, and I could see, yeah, it was getting a little bit long, where I should have only been taking about, time anyway, alas. So I taught everybody how to make a Menko. I'd given one before, I think on the first day, where people had written their intentions in on a small piece of paper. And then for this one, I taught people how to make one, just so that they could take the idea away with them at home and to make them at home if they ever felt the need. But we'd also prepared some Menkos, which is one this size. And so basically it's a little envelope. This is one I prepared for myself with all the prayers and things in my opening circle, woman's circle. And then it opens up to sort of a tree in the middle of it, anyway. And then it opens up even further that you can write in even more. So I use this idea for people to vision board, basically. So first of all, that they were to write their intention on the front, and then open it up further and elaborate a little bit more. People could draw, colour in. I'd also asked everybody to bring their favourite poem, something that resonated with them, that they could write in the middle. I wanted people to just make it special to themselves. And also, whatever that had come up in the breath work, I wanted them to try and incorporate that into the process of making the Menko or decorating the Menko. And then, of course, when all of this was done, which was ongoing for the rest of the weekend, people could stop and start and go back at this. They could just take that home with them in their handbag, nice and easy. And it was a little bit of memorabilia for the weekend, and special to them. Every single one that you make of these things are, well, they're a work of art. And I wanted to do something that people who don't feel that they're creative, not pointing any fingers anyway, but people who don't think that they're creative, that they can cut things out of newspapers, out of magazines, out of whatever. The poem that a person had chosen, that is special in themselves, you know, for themselves individually. And I wanted them to put that and decorate it around it. And every single Menko that was made was beautiful. Was truly beautiful and unique, and which shows that we're all unique. We're all different. This is one that I did for something else, which has got pictures of me, different stages of my life, which shows again uniqueness. You know, I'm unique to you, and then I'm constantly changing as well. We're all constantly changing. Yeah, so I had one with just Pink Moon written on it. I don't have that one at hand at this moment. This one's a smaller one, which I made quite some time ago. And this is one of the ones I used to show people what I'd done before, to give them some ideas, because I think that's important. You know, this is just done with felt pen. It's not going to the Royal Academy, but by actually doing something simple like this and just using coloured pens, didn't have to be acrylic paints or watercolours or anything. And I might have gone over the lines a bit, but does it matter? You probably can't tell from that. I enjoyed the process. And in that process, it can be quite meditative and releasing. And after doing the breath work, I think if you're not one for words for journaling, because not everybody is a wordsmith, then there's a different way, you know. And then I had my poem in there, which is about a tree. And I just added, it's quite simple. It's a bit childlike, that one. But it's my style. and I wanted everybody to do their style and to take it home. Whatever they did when they took it home, I don't think anybody probably put it in the bin. I'm sure they've still kept them quite specially to themselves. And whenever they look at it, it will always remind them of the Pink Moon retreat that they went to. And hopefully it'll bring a smile to them, that they'll remember some of the conversations that they might have had, or, yeah.
It absolutely always brings a smile, always brings a smile. And it was easy from my point of view because I was flying home. It was easy to carry, so it wasn't something that I couldn't take. So I love that bit of it. Really love that bit of it. So we're up to Saturday evening now.
Yeah, Saturday evening. Yes. So, after we vision boarded, I gave everybody option whether they just wanted to go and rest for a little while or whether they'd like to have a walk down the beach, which wasn't far at all. And everybody did come down the beach, and we had a little bit of a photo call down there. We had some lovely photographs taken, which was nice. So we had that connection to nature. Then we came home back to the house, and we had just before supper, we went into the hot tub. The ones who wanted to go to the hot tub, we had supper, and then, which was lovely as well. The food was delightful, and I'm so glad that everybody enjoyed it. Not everybody was gluten-free, not everybody was vegetarian or vegan. So it was really nice that everybody embraced that and enjoyed it. Yeah, and then after that, I thought, what can we do for the also meaningful? And I thought, cacao ceremony. Lots of people do cacao ceremonies in retreats. I thought a cacao ceremony always needs to be done in the morning because it is a little bit like coffee in that it's a vasodilator and it's a stimulant. So we need something to help us quieten down and be more reflective. And also something that's a little bit more natural to Wales, to the British Isles. So I wanted a herbal tea of some sort, and I thought, mugwort. I decided this quite some time before the retreat, and I thought I need to find out a lot more about mugwort. So I went to the library, I got books out about mugwort. I had some information. I Googled it, obviously, like everybody did. But also, I do know a lovely lady called Sarah Honeysmith who is in the circle with me, and she's a herbalist. And we did a swapsy. I gave her one-to-one breath work, and she gave me an hour of her time and told me all about mugwort, which I took notes on and so on. And mugwort is a herb that the witches used to use. They used to call it the witch's brew. Well, it was part of the collective of the 7 sacred herbs that they used to use many years ago. Anyway, mugwort also helps with lucid dreaming, and it relaxes people. So I found out as much as I could about that and whether there were any contraindications, and shared that information with the group. And then we had a little tea ceremony. So we had mugwort tea in special little cups, cup and saucer, and then we read each other's tea leaves, which was such a laugh. It was really good fun. Yeah, so
Yeah, it was
and
a
then
lovely way to end the evening.
Yeah, that was a good giggle, wasn't it? And we closed the circle as such, closed the day again about 9 o'clock. Although we went a little bit over, but we did end up talking, most of us, till about 1 o'clock in the morning, which was lovely. And that's what we needed to do. that was very special, all of that talking and sharing.
Really was.
And yeah, it was good.
It really, really was. And Saturday was a beautiful day. It was an absolutely lovely day to be present at. So Sunday, talk us through Sunday.
Sunday, again, we had a lovely breakfast. I can't remember if it was the Sunday or the Saturday we had the pastries, but the food was wonderful. I'm
Absolutely
so pleased about that. So we had a lovely breakfast and we gathered in circle, had a quick little share again, whether anything had come up for anybody overnight, especially having had the mugwort tea, and that we'd had that big breath work in the morning as well. So shares were done and thought, right, we need something with a little bit of movement. I don't do yoga. And I thought, and I knew that, we'd already planned that Val was going to do the next session, and she did an amazing improv session, which I'll go into in a minute. But I wanted to build it up for Val a little bit in some way, but I thought, let's have a little bit of movement. And I took my old fun orange record player down, and I put a disco song on, which was a laugh. It was really good fun. Everybody got moving. Everybody started laughing and finding a little bit of joy in all of that. And then, because improv can be very challenging for people, and I handed it all over to Val. Just to mention here, prior to Val and yourself, Marie, for the breathwork that you did and the improv that Val did, I asked you both, and I left it to you. I didn't, and Val said that she was glad that I did that I wasn't asking her all the time, how was I getting along? How long is it going to take? All of this kind of thing. I'd given her a set slot. It says, hour and a half. How long do you want? She says, hour and a half. Hour and a half it is. And then I knew, and I'd incorporated it, and I'd set that time aside for in the retreat time. And she'd created this wonderful session, absolutely amazing session. Challenging.
Very
challenging, but I'd never really done improv before either, and it's another way of working with energy which is extremely powerful, and it empowers people to be able to speak their truths, I guess, or to speak in different ways. We all have our personas and we do things in a certain way. Sometimes it's difficult to say no. Sometimes maybe we say yes too often, or vice versa. And it was interesting acting out little scenarios and using our voice in different ways that we would normally do, that's what made it challenging. But it opened ourselves up to possibilities, different possibilities of, and feeling how it feels to be in a different way. And that was a very, very powerful session as well. And I thank Val dearly for doing it. I think the work she's doing is superb. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we'd had breath work, we'd had vision boarding, we had mugwort tea. Now we had the improv. Then we had lunch again after the improv, which was lovely. And we had a bit of rest time, I think, then. And then on the Sunday afternoon, decided to do an afternoon tea, which was a space that we could all share, share a little bit more freely, and have tea out of cups of little cups and saucers and so on. And also, it was my birthday, and it was Val's birthday a couple of days later, and that was my intention. I hadn't told anybody it was my birthday, and I wasn't intending to, but who spilt the beans? Um, so there it was.
And we're very glad he did.
So yeah, it was such a joy to have to run this whole retreat on my birthday, and it was Val's big birthday a couple of days later, which was so lovely that we were able to celebrate that, and everybody sang happy birthday to us both. So that was so sweet and fun, and it very memorable, very memorable. It was lovely. And after the afternoon tea, around about 4:30, we had a closing circle. So with that, I had done the reverse of the opening ceremony, complete reverse of it, bringing in all the directions, and which it was all done in English, but also the little bit of Welsh in there. And I dearly thank my friend Amanda as well for playing the drum to clear, who came to the retreat as well, which was absolutely lovely. Yes, because I was going to drum and do the opening and closing ceremony, but I realized I couldn't read and drum at the same time. So there's a lesson for you. For anybody thinking of doing that, get somebody else to do the drumming for the clearing. I also had clearing sprays rather than smoke, because I didn't want to use white sage because it's been overused, and there's quite a bit of controversy over using white sage these days. So I just used essence, clearing essence and things, which was nice. And then we had during the closing ceremony, before all that, we had a huge share of how we all felt individually. We all shared our menkos, and I'd offered people the opportunity, if they wanted to read their poem that they brought with them. Some people did, some people didn't. And to explain, maybe, if it felt right, what was special for them. And that was truly lovely, hearing every story and every share that was done was truly special and amazing. To be honest, it was very powerful.
Yeah.
It was truly powerful, and I loved it. Yeah, and then we had supper together. More food. We had a lot of food, maybe a bit too much, I don't know, but it was
beautiful.
It was lovely. And we had a relaxation, and we had the option of going to the hot tub if we did, which I think most of us did, under the stars. It was lovely. And then we just relaxed again. We relaxed again and chatted. Then we all got up early the next morning. Lifts to Bangor, which was lovely. And do you know what? There was no problem clearing up or anything. The place was spotless and lovely, and we left the house having had a wonderful time. It was great. Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
It really was. It was an amazing experience. It really, really was. So, what's next? How do you feel after having run it, and what is next?
Oh, it was an absolutely delight to do. I loved it. It was my first retreat ever that I'd ran, but I didn't do it completely on my own because who was supporting me with the food? You were there, and you'd done one of the main breath work, which I appreciated so much. It was lovely. I felt I'd chosen what I wanted to do was the right balance for me and my energy. Um, and I think I made truly the right choices by asking you and Val to do the sessions that you did, which were the big main sessions, to be fair. I don't think it would have worked if I'd have done everything. I don't think it would have felt the same. It would have become stressful. At one stage, I did start feeling a little bit, oh, my neurological system is going a little bit. I think it might have been on the Sunday afternoon, or was it Saturday afternoon? It was in the afternoon, one of the days. I just thought, oh, I think I need to go and take a little bit of time out just for a moment. I spend a lot of time on my own, and being amongst people for a day, all day, is a delight, but sometimes can be a bit challenging. So I was recognizing that I was feeling a bit overwhelmed here for a minute. And I had an opportunity for just leaving everybody for a bit, and I went to have a lie down for an hour, I think, which I needed to do. But I was able to recognize it.
Yes,
That
and it's
was good.
important that you can do that. That's a skill not everybody has.
I know I have my own limitations of if I start getting tired, I start getting stressed, and I get anxious, and then it starts spiraling the wrong way. So that I was able to notice that, which is having done a lot more felt sense over the last few years doing breath work. I don't think it would have fared so well for me, but I went to rest, had that rest, got back. I had to just, I tried not to be in constant control and just go with the flow of things a bit more. I just thought, right, I'm not going to get stressed about this. Everybody that's on this retreat, I'd chosen everybody carefully as well, who was coming for this first retreat, because I thought if it becomes difficult, I know the people that are around me are capable of looking after themselves, you know, emotionally, and that they would all emotionally and physically and in whatever way and spiritually, and they knew each other well enough to all support each other. So yeah, I think I made the right choices there. So I'm pleased about this for the first one. If I was to do another retreat again, which I would like to do again, I would like to do another one, which would be like a reunion of about breathing space friends. And again, I'd like to do it in a collaborative way. I think it balances, for me, that's what suits me. I think it balances energies, has different kinds of energies, and yeah, I hope I wasn't, I wanted to be more laissez-faire, if you know what I mean, if that's how you say that word, rather than autocratic in, right, I'm in charge, right, we're doing this now. I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted a mixture of collaborative and going with however energy guides us, because we did go a little bit over on different things, which was fine in a retreat.
Absolutely. And you very much were like in charge, but not running it, if that makes sense. And you created the space and created it beautifully, but then stepped back and let the people who were going to do things, you let them do their thing in their way without having to have control over it. But yet you were in control of the whole thing in a quiet, gentle way that made the space feel very safe. So yeah, I think you achieved what you set out to achieve amazingly well. And I'll certainly be at the next one.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. I absolutely loved it. I truly loved the whole experience. And because I was loving it, it wasn't a challenge. It was a joy. It was a true joy.
We felt that joy throughout it.
Oh.
We did. And then there was all the little touches, the little things on the pillows, the ground ginger, there were all those little touches that made it from being just another retreat to being something quite special.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But you know, those little things were, those little ideas came to me from it was around Christmas time that I booked the accommodation. And once I booked it, I was then I wrote the ideas of what I wanted within about half an hour. You know, just wrote, right, we'll do this, pick up from station, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was easy to write it down as a template. That was fine. And as the weeks and months went by, because it was only 3 months, no, 4 months, yeah, middle of April, isn't it?
Yeah.
I started getting into this Menko making and also little boxes. And I thought, oh, little boxes. We could put a little bit of ginger in there. That'll be lovely for grounding. And then I had, it's always nice to have gifts, you know, little gifts. They don't need to be of great value or anything. But I had I think it was a necklace or a bracelet that had fallen apart. So I did the little bead necklace. It's just a bit, but it was pink. I thought, oh, this is perfect for just as a little bit of a memorabilia thing that people could have a little bit of rose quartz bead just to hold and ground as well. So yeah, it was a joy to make those little things, you know, it was.
But those elevated from being just a retreat to being a labor of love that the people there feel, which we did very, very much. And my biggest thing, I'm actually going to take the pen off. My biggest thing was how much we felt cared for and looked after when we were there, which was huge. And I think that elevated it as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Yeah, I would definitely love to do it again. I would like to do one for people that I know, you know, through online breathing space and the Inspirings people that I know. And because it's almost, for me, it's almost like caring for the carers, caring for the people who are younger than me, who are going to be doing greater things with breath work. They've got a lot more energy, but they also need a space that they can get together to collaborate with each other, to share ideas with what works, what doesn't work, for them in the breathing space, in the breathing world, in the facilitation world, with breathing, or whether it's in a creative way or with improv or whatever. And it's sometimes you need a sounding board, a place where you can start putting your ideas, sharing them and seeing what other people think. You know, might be an idea and you think, well, have you thought about this and how this might work? Or, ooh, that is amazing. Yes, go for it, run with it. And I think facilitators need a space to do that. Like as a teacher, you need a staff room to share your ideas and say, well, let's give it a go, you know, or as a nurse, you've got the staff room. And if you've got, you know, challenges that you need, you know, in whatever way that you can brainstorm together. Yes, that's what I want to do, is to create a space that people can go and relax, but also brainstorm and to celebrate each other and to see what magic comes out for you to then move on onwards.
And you do it so
Yeah.
well, and it is so important.
Oh, thank you. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, definitely
Thank
think
you.
it's something you need to do.
Thank you. Well, hopefully I will. Next year, I think I'll do another one at some stage. Time permitting, you know, depending on the calendar of, there's a lot of things happening in April in different ways. So that's going to be an exciting month next year for other people who might be running retreats, which I think would be amazing. And yeah, and also earlier on in April and things, I'm going to be maybe doing a little bit of traveling earlier on in April as well. But later on in next year, I think I'd like to do something that's not too big, because when something's too big, it becomes impersonal. I think it's better to have things in a smaller container, because it can be a different kind of feeling. I can't say richer, because you can get a lot out of a big workshop, but I think friendships
and it's
can
different.
be,
It's different
it's a different
energies.
safety. Yeah, different energy, different safety.
Different energies, yeah.
To share. So yeah, that's where I am with it. Yeah, I've loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I encourage everybody who is in breathing space to have a go at running a retreat, for sure. But start from a place not for wanting to make money. Start from a place that gives you joy, and then gift yourself the experience as if you're going off to a retreat yourself, and then maybe for the next one to, right, this works, go off and make some money, you know, and share your experiences and so on. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing about your retreat with us today. Love listening. You're welcome. To you. And you can still hear the joy and love in your voice as you share that.
Thank you. It was fabulous. And thank you for interviewing me, Marie.
You are so welcome.